Welcome to Math with Mr. P. Today we're doing 7th grade math. We are doing adding and subtracting like fractions. This is chapter 4, lesson 3. So, just like last lesson, in order to add and subtract fractions, we need to have the denominators be the same. If they are not the same, there is no way we can add. For example, if I wanted to add 1/2 and 1/3, the only way to do this is to convert the denominators to be the same. Now, in order to do this, we can see if one denominator can convert up to the other, and if not, we're looking for least common denominators. In this case, we know that 2 and 3 will both go into 6. Therefore, we will change both numbers to become 6. Sometimes the easiest method to convert is just by multiplying the number by the other number in order to change it. Starting with 1/2, both will be multiplied by 3. This will become 3 over 6. And 1/3 will be both multiplied by 2, which will become 2 over 6. And we will add. In order to add or subtract fractions, they must have a common denominator. We keep the bottom number or the denominator the same, and it will be 3 plus 2, so we will have 5/6. Therefore, 1/2 plus 1/3 equals 5/6. Remember, a fraction is just telling you how much you have of something, so 1/2 is the same thing as saying you have 3 out of 6. You have 1 out of 2, or you have 3 out of 6. 1/3, when we convert it to become 2/6, we have 2 out of 6. And when we add them together, we will have 5 out of 6. 6 plus 6 will not equal 12 in this case. We are going to keep the denominator the same because remember, the denominator is telling you how many there are. So say it's like a collection. This person has 3 out of 6, this person has 2 out of 6. When you put them together, you have 5 out of 6. The same thing goes for subtracting. If I wanted to do 1/2 minus 1/3, again, I would have to convert both to have the same denominator. Multiplying this by 3, multiplying this by 2, our new equation will become 3 6 minus 2/6, which will give me 1/6. The denominators stay the same. We just subtract the numerators. 3 minus 2 will give us 1. Therefore, my answer is 1/6. Like fractions, when the denominators are the same, you can add or subtract the numerators only. So again, for fractions to be like fractions, they have to have the same denominator. You can do this by scaling up or scaling down, depending on if the fractions will allow. And if not, you're going to look for the least common multiple or least common denominator. Again, when you add and subtract like fractions, the only math that's happening is with the numerators. The denominators will stay the same. So the example here given 2/9 plus 1/9, that will become 3/9. And eventually you will simplify 3/9. Simplify or die, apparently, according to these notes. So you would divide both of these by 3 and it'll become 1/3. So remember to always put your answer in simplest form if possible. And then subtracting is the exact same thing. You need to make sure that both are like fractions. Then you're going to subtract numerators only. And if you can simplify, please simplify. And remember that we talked about negative integers. In this case, we have 5/8 minus 7/8. Yeah, we're going to have to take 7 from 5, which will make -2. Therefore, we are going to be dealing with some negative fractions now. So the answer to 5/8 minus 7/8 is -2/8. And then again, we simplify. Both have a common factor of 2. It will become -1/4. Looking at these, try these. We have -4/6 plus -4/6 plus -1/6. Now, both already have common denominators. -4/6 plus, I believe it was, negative 1/6. We're going to take the same ideas we took from last chapter. So this is basically just going to be negative 4 plus negative 1. In order to do that, negative 4 plus negative 1, it's the exact same thing as saying 4 minus 1. And if we look down here, they didn't give us any directions, but it's fine. Negative 4, so let's do this in a calculator really quickly so I can show you guys exactly what happens here. We're going to have negative 4, negative. Let's clear this again because that didn't work out very well. Negative 4 plus negative 1 will give us negative 5. Now, I know the plus symbol there kind of concerns us and confuses us a little bit, but when you add a negative with a negative, again, it's like saying you owe somebody $4, now you owe somebody another $1. This will become negative 5/6. The same ideas that we learned last chapter, and this is why I told you guys it was so important to keep our notebooks from last chapter, because we're going to deal with these things again. So again, when you have a negative plus a negative, we can just kind of get rid of the plus. It'll be negative 4 minus 1, which will give us negative 5. So our answer to this one is negative 5/6. 5 and 6 don't have any common factors, therefore it is simplified. The next try this is negative 3/7 plus 1/7. Now, both are common factors. So we don't have to do any work in converting. These are good. We're good to go. Now we're going to do the negative 3 plus 1. Again, we can do the whole number line thing. We'll have negative 3 plus 1 would jump it over 1, which would give me negative 2. Another way to do this is to flip these. And it'll be 1 minus 3, which will also give me negative 2. So my answer to this one is negative 2/7. And then again, no common factors between these two. Therefore, my answer is simplified, and it is negative 2/7. Next example also has like factors, or they're like fractions, I should say. 5/8 minus 2/8. Both are positive. Again, our denominator is going to be 8 because these are common. And we're just going to do our math regularly. 5 minus 2 will give me 3. No negative. It's 3/8, and 3 and 8 don't have any common factors. Therefore, my answer is 3/8. Negative 3/9 minus 2/9. So this is where we're going to get that whole negative minus a thing again. And I believe they were ninths. They are ninths. So our denominator is going to be 9, and we are going to do our math. Negative 3 minus 2. Again, we talk about the whole money thing, or we take the number line negative 3, 2 to the left. This would be negative 5/9. Neither number have any common factors. Therefore, our answer is negative 5/9. And our last example from our notes is negative 11 minus negative 3. Oh, sorry. Both are over 12. So, and this is a good example, again, because we're going to be dealing with negatives minus other negatives. Both have denominators of 12, so we're going to keep the 12 over. Now we basically have negative 11 minus negative 3. And we've talked about this last chapter. When you subtract a negative, these two will just become positive. But now we have negative 11 plus 3. You can do the whole number line thing and move 3 spots closer to there. So that'd be negative 10, negative 9, negative 8. So this would be negative 8 over 12. Another thing you could do is 3 minus 11, which you know would also be negative 8. But we are not done here. This is the one example that we get where our answer is not simplified. So rewriting our fraction, -8/12. And again, the negative can be by the top number, or it can be like right here. That's the more appropriate way to write it. -8/12, or 8 and 12, both have a common denominator of 4. If I divide 8 by 4, it becomes 2. And if I divide 12 by 4, it becomes 3. It's still a negative, so my answer now is -2/3. And that is my correct answer. So remember, always simplify. Going into the book. So remember, you have to convert fractions to have the same denominator in order to add or subtract. Most of these examples in your homework are going to have the same denominator. It's going to be converting them, which is going to be a later lesson, and I believe that is lesson 4. Add and subtract, unlike fractions. This is when we're going to have to convert the denominator. So we're going to do the got it's, and we're going to make this a pretty quick lesson. Again, it mostly goes back to adding and subtracting integers from last chapter. So how do you add two negatives? How do you add or how do you subtract two negatives? Things like that. It's going to be very much going back and reviewing that. So we have 1/3 plus 2/3. Both are positive. Both have common denominator. We are literally just adding 1 plus 2, which is 3. The denominator stays the same. However, this is a whole now, and this will just become 1. My answer is 1. Remember, when you have 3 out of 3, or you have the numerator and the denominator be the same, that means 1. You have one whole. Therefore, 3 out of 3 is 1. And my answer to that is 1. B is -3/7 plus 1/7. -3/7 plus 1/7. My answer will still have a denominator of 7. It's literally just -3 plus 1. Again, on a number line, I would move 1 to the right, which is -2. And this is already simplified because 2 and 7 have no common factors. The other way you could have done this is 1 minus 3, which again would be -2. -2/5 plus -2/5. -2/5 plus, and we're going to write -2/5. Again, when you add a negative, this just kind of goes away, and this will become -2 minus 2. My answer is still going to have a denominator of 5. -2 minus 2 will give us -4. Again, you owe someone $2, and now you owe somebody else another $2. You're just going to owe $4 total. This is simplified. 4 and 5 have no common factors. Therefore, my answer is -4/5. And our last example, -1/4 plus 1/4. Now, there's a little bit of a trick here. You're going to have a denominator of 4 for now, -1 plus +1. Anytime you have a negative number plus a positive at that one, or in this case, we could do 1 minus 1, because it's 1 plus -1 or 1 minus 1. These are going to be 0. They're going to cancel each other out. That's that 0 pair rule. 0 out of 4 is not a fraction, so our answer is literally just 0. And that's our answer. All right, and that's pretty much it. I know this one's a little bit easier, but again, a lot of it's going to be based on the review from last chapter. It's very important that you have down how to add negatives, positives, vice versa, how to go through that. If you are having trouble or you had trouble with that chapter, it's very important that you go back and review. or that you ask questions in class. Because again, math builds on itself. And if you did not get that concept, it's going to be very hard moving on this year. So it's very important that you ask questions and you start getting help. This is it for lesson 3 for chapter 4. Again, questions, comments, concerns. You guys can message me on Teams. You can, leave a comment. If you're not in my class, leave a comment, send me an email. As always, this is Mr. P. I really hope you understood this, and if not, please, please, please say something. I'll see you guys on the next one.